Greetings and salutations, Charlton66 here once again with another video. As always, I hope everyone's doing well. I've got a lot to go over, some stuff I want to talk about and show. One of the things I have no idea what this looks like. I got a commission done by Jim Calafiore. It arrived in the mail. I have not seen it yet. When I get commissions done, it's not really, obviously, when people get commissions is what they like, and that type of thing, but the popularity of something does not move me in any direction for a commission. Nothing against the Wolverines or the Deadpools, or I got Deadpool right here on the wall by Calafiore, some other Deadpool pages, but as far as commissions go, I like seeing characters I normally don't see in some of my favorites. As some of you know from my other videos, I'm off the beaten path when it comes to certain characters and what I like. It's usually second, third tier characters. But this commission, again, like I did with Jonathan K. Snyder, it's a Mr. Terrific, both Mr. Terrifics, Terry Sloan and Michael Holt. The two Mr. Terrifics together, and again, this is I've not seen it yet, so you guys are seeing it with me. Yeah, the commissions that I get done, like I said, I like seeing characters that I normally don't see. Yep. Wow, there it is with the JSA logo in the back. There it is. That's it's pretty sweet. Adding the JSA in the back was a nice touch. I just paid two figures, and Jim threw in the background of the JSA. I think it's very cool. Again, there's the two Mr. Terrifics back to back. Very nice. Very nice indeed. So that's one of the things that that's off the checklist for this video. Very, very cool. And a few other things I got some comics from Midtown. The Justice Incorporated series that came out from Dynamite had tons of covers, and I don't go after all the covers of a favorite series. It's just not what I do. But there's always the exceptions, and the few of the exceptions is what I originally got the first series of the Justice Incorporated, just the regular covers. That the story was good, but the covers didn't do the characters justice. I don't think. Particularly with the pulp characters, because the pulp characters have a rich history, and I like it when it's conveyed on the cover. And of course, the Alex Ross covers really stood out. But here's a couple of the other covers that I did get. This is Gabriel Hardiman cover from Justice Incorporated #1, Doc Savage, The Avenger in the Shadow. And this is a nice cover. The Justice Incorporated by Francavilla, which Francavilla always hits it out of the park. And when I was talking about the covers that convey with a character, this is the Avenger, of course, the plane crash. That's how I'm seeing it anyway. The plane crash that turned him into the Avenger is in the background. And a superb Alex Ross. The Avenger, Doc Savage in the Shadow. Awesomely done. But here are the two favorites that really stood out that I had to get these. This one right here is just phenomenal. It shows the Avenger obviously in the forefront because this is the Justice Incorporated comic, but his aides and people are in the back with his wife and daughter who were killed in the plane crash, and you have the Shadow with all of his men, and of course the different I'm sure incarnations of the Shadow from Ken Allard to Lamont Cranston, but also shows some of his many aides and men that help him fight crime. Of course, Doc Savage right there with the auto gyro, the ever-present auto gyro, and of course all of Doc's men, which I think is just a phenomenal cover. Does well with the characters, has that pulp feel, and along with this one, it has some pulp magazines in the back. The first issues of well, some of these are not the first issues of the pulp. Some of it's different. Um, but this is a superb cover. Shows the pulps, and then those guys are in the foreground with the pulps behind them that they've come from, which I think is very, very cool. So that was that. I got those from Midtown. Again, I'm a big fan of the pulp characters. Doc Savage being my number one guy. Of course, Shadow and the Avenger are running second, tying for second, but it's one of those things that they're so old. We're talking about the 30s, the Shadow even earlier, and they're still around. They're still publishing comics. The characters are still known. There's still a fan base for those characters, which says a lot for those characters in the history of the pulps and the pulp characters that are still reproduced. I mean, it's not just those three. I mean, you've got G8 and these Battle Aces being reprinted. The Spider, Operator 5, all those guys are still being reprinted by Adventure House and some other companies. So that's very cool. And talking about the history of stuff and how old things go back, one of the things I want to show as well is a little collection. Unfortunately, I don't have all of them. It's just there's a lot, but I get some of my favorite characters, and they're neat figures. They're they're based off of Syroco wooden figures. I think I'm saying that right. Syroco, Syroco, Syroco. Wooden figures that was put out in the 40s by Pillsbury. They put out wooden figures from feature syndicates, meaning the Phantom, Doc Savage, Dick Tracy, I think Flash Gordon and some other characters. They put out 12 of them, I think. But they put out other wooden figurines as well, not just the comic characters. But the comic characters, of course, are the most valuable. But they're wooden figures, and so Dark Horse took over and continued the trend, or continued the historical aspects of those Syroco figures, and they're made out of this resin that looks like wood. I don't know if some of you have seen them or not. They look kind of off-putting at first because of the way that they're cut, but they're supposed to look that way. They're supposed to look hand-painted, and I think they are. And they're cut out of wood. But they're very cool characters. And they come in a really cool tin box. The first one I want to show is Dick Tracy, which is really cool. This is number 719 out of 950, so they are numbered. And like I said, they don't take up a lot of shelf space, and it's just a classy figure to have on your shelf because it could be on a bookshelf. Like I said, it doesn't take up much room. They look very cool, and with it come with a pin back button and a little card with the history of the character. Sometimes they talk about the artist. In this particular one, of course, they talk about Chester Gould. But they come in this nice tin, and with the figures, they look very, very cool. Like I said, they're kind of off-putting at first because it looks like they're made out of wood, but they're like a resin figure. But the figures are very, very cool. They're well done. They're detailed very, very nice, and like I said, they're small enough to put on a shelf. They don't take up much room. Another one I have from the older figures is the Flash Gordon. Again, it's got about the character, and you get a pin back. But all of them, you get a button and a little card, and I won't show every single one of them that I have open up the tin, but they all come with that, which I think is very, very cool. And of course, this is a Flash Gordon, and this is number 570 from 950. And this is a Flash Gordon right here, which I think is very cool. Again, it's painted well. It represents very, very well the character and of the time. If you like stuff from the 30s and 40s, and onwards into the 60s, as you'll see, like with my Iron Man, which I'll show next, very much the Steve Ditko armor, that famous painting picture of him ripping apart the beam. As you can see, there's gouges in it that looks like it's made out of wood, which is, I think, adds to the character. It adds to the figure, rather. But the rivets are in his mask, which is, looks like it can be drawn by Don Heck as well. But it's a very cool figure. And this is the box that came with it. This is number 218 from 750. And most of Marvel's characters are done from the 60s. There's Doctor Strange. Again, I don't know if you're familiar with these characters or not, but they're worth getting. There's Doctor Strange, Steve Ditko, Doctor Strange. There's all the Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, Silver Surfer. And back to the 40s, again, the Batman, right there, a smiling Batman, which is hard to believe that he was once a character that actually smiled. But this is the Batman, very well done. Again, there's gouges like on his cape, makes it look like he's made out of wood. But it's a very cool representation of the character and of the time period. One of my other favorites, I like them all, but I'm a big Jay Garrick Flash fan. Any JSA character, I'm there. I wish they would make all the JSAs, which I think would be very cool. Again, he looks like he's mostly, this is the one that really resembles almost like he's made out of wood compared to the other ones, even though they still do. This one looks really chunky in a sort of way. But it's a very cool character. And this is a nice nice box. Again, this is 342 of 2000. Very cool box for that character. And last but not least, Superman. Again, like I said, they all come with the pin back buttons and a card about the character and the artist, or Syroco wooden figures itself. The chain is busted around his chest. It's not broken on the figure. It's just the way it is. Like he's breaking the chain from all those famous poses from the 40s. Again, as you can see, gouges on his chest that make it look like, it's chiseled out of wood. But they're very cool figures. Again, the representation of the time period, which is what really sells it for me. And again, they're small enough figures, and again, they don't take up much space, much real estate. If you're like me, running out of room to put stuff, they fit nicely on bookshelves, and they're sprinkled around the room. It kind of has that that nostalgia feeling of having the older characters around. So they're pretty cool figures. I figured I'd show some of them to you guys. Like I said, Dark Horse puts them out. They retail for $49.95, but you can usually find them from dealers and stuff around $30. I've found them anywhere between $30 to $49.90 to $50. I've found them anywhere. I've never found them cheaper than $30. But if I do see a cool character, I do pick them up. I like to get all the FF, but again, at retail it's $200. And now if you don't get Doctor Doom, it's another 50. It's $250 with Doom. So, but they're cool characters, and like I said, they're pretty neat to have in anyone's collection. Well, we're at 15 minutes now. Thanks for everything. Again, the Calafiore sketch was very, very cool. We'll look at it one more time. The two Mr. Terrifics, side by side. Did a very good job. Love the JSA emblem in the back. Very cool. All right. Thank you again for viewing and subscribing. I do appreciate it. Hope everyone is having a good Saturday and hope you have a good rest of the weekend. Talk to you guys later.